Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas, and good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny receiving the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitters going into those magical boxes known as radios, aka the Howard Reynolds machines. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard to our friends and neighbors around the world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by whom? By we the people, you the taxpayer, folks, you the taxpayer, you are the owner. Folks, we have got to do what's right to take our country back. Anyway, folks, before and any further ado, let's go to El Estudio con los genios, the geniuses, Mr. Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Beba.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, sir. How's it going?
Howard's answering the phone right now, so we probably got our first caller in here. I guess I'll go ahead and go with my piece right now.
Yeah, let's hear your piece. Let's see what's the wisdom of the morning.
All right. This is democracy. Democracy got out capitalized. The wealth that has been concentrated at the top 1% is the problem. Our corporations have grown richer than the state. Therefore, the corporate entity is using capital to corrupt law and buy politicians and political power. That's not democracy, that's enslavement. Now, for a true spectacle, watch the morbidly rich feasting on the carcass of democracy. The people are prey to the corporate vampires.
I love it, Jack. Yep, Elon Musk bought the presidency for Donald Trump. I hope he appreciates it.
You know, it is funny because the presidency is now owned by two billionaires. Elon Musk for the president and the vice president, who was placed there by the guy who owned Thiel. I think Thiel is his name, that other billionaire. And you know what is so funny about all of that? Trump is 78, in bad health, obese, etc. It doesn't matter who's there. One billionaire is going to be in control no matter what. Anyway, so what's up, Howard?
Don't forget the dementia that he's got, too.
Exactly.
Poor health, obese, dementia, you name it. It's there.
Yeah. So, Brother Vance is going to be really concentrating on figuring out how to be in power. And he's probably already in power. But anyway, what's up, Howard? How are you doing this morning?
I'm starting to wake up from my coma yesterday after receiving the news and arguing with MAGA people. And they said, well, see, democracy worked. Well, that's true. It did.
Yeah.
Now.
But you know what? It's so funny, Howard. It's so funny because as it turns out, I've been all over my program, this program and my 3 o'clock program, congratulating the MAGAs that are in my room all of the time and saying, you guys won. And not only did you guys win, you won decisively. There was I hate it. I'm hurt. But that is what happened. And we talk about it. When those guys lose, it was rigged. It was this. Well, look, did we get some rigging in this election? Guess what? The Russians were in there. And all kinds of stuff was there. But you know what? It wasn't enough to overturn anything. And we accept that we lost. And I also know there are reasons why we lost. But you accept it. And we move on and we grow and we figure out what we got to do. But that's the name of the game. Anyway, anything else you want to say before we go to El Señor Aquino, sir?
No, I think we're good here. You got a good show for us today. And it's Neil Aquino Day, which is always
Aquino? Exactly.
When Neil's here.
When Neil is here, we have a good time. Brother Aquino, we had an election. Oh, first of all, let's introduce. I am so rude sometimes. When Aquino here, we got to introduce him the right way. With us, we're in the presence of El Señor Neil Aquino, founder of Houston Democracy Project. How are you doing, my dear brother? And by the way, you get the Houston Democracy Project by going to HoustonDemocracyProject.com. We all want to make sure people know where they can get good information so they're not disinformed. Go ahead, my brother.
Right. I'm hanging in there, and I went to, I woke up Monday in one society, Tuesday in one society, and I am came back Wednesday in a different society, and I think we'll grasp that as we go along.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a rough day for me. I was actually doing the national show for KPFT covering the election at 9 Central Time yesterday. Yeah. I mean, not yesterday, on election day. And as I'm seeing it, I am saying, oh, this stuff is turning into the wrong direction. And it's funny because we were interviewing Daniel, the president of Indivisible. We brought him on, Akua brought him on, and he said he wasn't really following the news. But since he was on hold, he heard me say the thing isn't going in the right direction, and his heart sunk then. I was speaking to him yesterday, and he said his heart sunk, and it's like, oh, my God. This again, But what are your thoughts, your initial thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think nationally, we're going to have to grasp what's happened. We're not, all our lives, we've been used to living in a, or being able to believe it's a democracy. Of course, we talked about democracy did work, and we've seen in Hungary and other places where democracy is used to weaken democracy or to make a kind of autocratic or authoritarian democracy. And I think that's what we're going to see here. We are really not aligned with our traditional European allies anymore. There's the Trump-Putin stuff has never been a joke. It's always been real. Trump, Musk, Putin. I'd say you could, even though we're about to go into a trade war with China, in many ways we are aligned with the authoritarian nature of China, and it's a completely different world. And social, they're going to gut years of federal regulation and progress. Even the regulation that's there won't be enforced. And it will be a lot of lawlessness. So I think on a national level, hopefully, we're going to talk about the local level today, but it's a change, and people are going to have to not get used to it, but it's going to be very different.
Let me give you my thoughts on that. I've been going through this stuff in my head, my machinations in my head, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Here's the deal. The tariffs, if Trump imposed the tariffs that he talks about, it will create inflation. Definitely so, because that's that by definition. But it'll only create inflation the first year, right? Because if I put a 20% tariff on something, that price goes up by 20% that first year. The second year, if that price, it has the same 20% tariff, guess what? That's no longer inflation, right? So if you put on the tariff is being paid every year, but that price is fixed at that point. So on year 2, 3, 4, that's inflation that has stopped moving. That's that's one option that they have based on how economics work. The second thing I think that Trump is considering is bribing. And that is, in other words, if China gives him a few $1 billion, we won't implement the tariffs. In other words, if a few $1 billion go to his companies somewhere under Kushner or whatever, no tariffs occur. Because remember, tariffs are controlled by the president. He writes it. It's an executive decision, not a congressional decision, right? So I
Right.
foresee
And
that he. Go ahead.
there'll be no oversight. I mean, we're seeing, probably the Republicans are going to retain control of the House. It's not a
Mhm.
given.
They
Won't
will.
be a strong.
Mhm.
Won't be a strong majority. There may be a few policies where they can't get to 218 votes, but there will be no oversight. The amount of lawlessness will be. It'll just the lawlessness will just be the background noise of public life, and that will extend all the way down. The absence of federal regulation, oversight, and then here in Texas, Ken Paxton, Greg Abbott, and then Trump on top, and we are on our own, and it points out what a bummer it is to have John Whitmire as mayor. This is probably too far to the right for him, actually. I think he actually believes he's a Democrat. But talk about a wrong leader, someone who won't offer any encouragement, any inspiration. It's unfortunate that this is our mayor at this point.
Well, I think you are kind. You said you think he's a Democrat. I think he's a Democrat because he's in Harris County.
I think he thinks he's a Democrat.
Right. I think he will move. If he moves, I am pretty sure that he would change his registration. Just like I think Og, if she moved into the right part of Texas, she would change her registration.
That could be. Well, she essentially has, and of course, we may see Og as our federal district attorney. There's talk about what did she get in exchange for her endorse of Ted Cruz. Regretfully, we haven't we haven't seen the end of her, and we may have Kim Ogg's vindictiveness still with the capacity to charge people for crime.
If she goes into the federal state, that is exactly what's going to happen. She's going to make everything. In other words, all those programs that Lina Hidalgo and others are using federal money to fund, you can be guaranteed that because this is federal money, she gets jurisdiction over testing it out. Anyway, let's before we go to the phones, we almost had a meltdown. In fact, I would actually say we had a meltdown in the judges, and we lost, I think, just about every judicial race or something like that. That was contested. Contested.
Most significantly, so there were 3 Texas Supreme Court races. We lost those. That was not a surprise. And then there were 10 appellate seats. 5. A lot of the cases that are here, if they're appealed, they go to the first and 14th appellate circuits. There were 10 of those justices. They call them justices up. We lost all 10. Those candidates did campaign hard. Then locally, we won. Thankfully, the Republicans did not oppose a number of our judges, so we won. We won a number of unopposed judgeships, and then with those that were opposed, I don't know. I think it was about 50-50. We lost 9 or 10 of those judgeships, and then it barely hung on for Sean Tier, Christian Menifee, Annette Ramirez, the new tax assessor, and Ed Gonzalez won with a little more. He won with 53%.
He won with a good margin, and so did Gonzalez. What's her name? Ramirez, right? I mean,
no, she was
2 points.
Well.
Yeah, 2 points. Yeah.
Yeah. But these had been 65 or these 60. The Hobby School had done a poll a couple weeks ago where they were ahead like 54-42. So you felt that they were, and you cannot. And so these Republican gains in percentage terms were in cities and urban counties across the United States, and you cannot. We've talked here before about how many of these legislators in safe seats did nothing.
Right.
Just did nothing. And you can't forever just, I mean, you saw over and over when you'd see interviews with black voters. One theme I would see consistently is just, you just assume I'm voting this way. You just take my vote for granted. I don't see you. You don't come around. And now you just want my vote. And you can't keep asking people or just assuming people will do something. You know, Sylvester Turner been winning low turnout races all his life. In his state legislative seat, he wins for mayor in elections with 17% turnout. He gets nominated for Congress in that process they had after Sheila Jackson Lee's death, where only the precinct executives could vote. So literally a 90-person vote. And then he gets elected again. He'd show up at some campaign events, but they were more concerned with electing Sheila Jackson Lee's daughter, Erica Carter, for the remaining 6 weeks of her term. So Sheila Jackson Lee's daughter was elected for the remaining 7 or 8 weeks of Sheila Jackson Lee's term. So she'll be a congresswoman for 7 or 8 weeks. Then Mayor Turner will take over and be the congressman for the full term. So they've got this all set. You know, so he'll be there for 2 or 4 years, 1 or 2 more low turnout elections. Then you'll see Sheila Jackson Lee's daughter, it seems. They'll say, oh, elect her. She has 8 weeks seniority. You know, she'll have an edge. She'll have a jump. It's all set. It's barely democracy. It's low turnout. It's arranged, and she'll sit there for 20 or 30 years.
Well, you know what? Here's the deal. That is why we have the Houston Democracy Project and why we have the blogs that we do here, etc. Because we have to point that out. And the other thing we have to do is make sure that people start investing in these other sources. That is how there was a pundit that went around Pennsylvania and these other states to talk to the different the people in these areas, and they were so disinformed. And the reason they were disinformed is that Donald Trump, like I said, Donald Trump won fair and square as far as I'm concerned. And not only did he win fair and square, he had a solid performance. Now, how did he do it? Lies, disinformation, targeted, micro-targeting. All these things were done that the Democratic Party needs to do. But we have all these highfalutin elitists in New York or DC or these other places that are so far removed from the real people that we don't get it. But let me go ahead and bring the first phone call in. Let's go to Gonzalo. Buenos días, Gonzalo. ¿Cómo estás, hermano mío?
Yeah, good morning. It has been a long time. I have been absent, but I have been watching. And of course, I was not surprised of the victory of Trump for many reasons. Mm-hmm. We have to acknowledge that there were things that were made wrong. First, to choose Joe Biden as a candidate. Mm-hmm. Kamala Harris did what she could. But, I mean, being a woman first, a woman of color second, and being a nominee last minute, she had little chance to win, in my own and humble opinion.
You're absolutely right. Gonzalo, I am so glad. And don't take this the wrong way, because I am so glad you said it that way, especially coming from un Latino. And the reason why is because I've had in many blogs, etc., to have to defend her, because now they want to plaster this thing on Kamala. Oh, she wasn't strong. Look, this was a damn DA. She was a very strong woman, and much stronger than Donald Trump. And the second thing, sir, is that you hit it on the nail. Biden when he ran, and again, we can say this now, the election is over. Biden, when he ran, said he would be a caretaker to bring us over the hump, and he did the job, and he did a great job. He was a good progressive president, more progressive than any progressive that we've had in our lifetime. But as usual, folks get into power and they don't say, let me seed it and let a transition occur. But continue, Gonzalo. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Also on the on the Houston perspective, I saw with great sadness that the proposition for HISD to raise the taxes didn't go through. And I think the main reason is miles. I saw a banner the other day. It says miles need to go away. Yes. And I think that's what HISD need. You know, HISD need miles to go away to Colorado, to Dallas, to wherever he came from, because he's a disgrace for the educational system. Yes. And unfortunately, it didn't work. And that will be a good opportunity for teachers to get a better salary, because the competition of HISD, that could have happened. It didn't happen, but anyways. And I think the takeaway is that the Democratic Party needs to choose and pick up the right candidate as a nominee. Of course, we have billionaires that back up us. That's not a fairy tale. It's a true story. So I think I disagree a little bit with you. I think Elon Musk was well seen where he stands for, and everybody knows that there are some other billionaires behind that, because this is a betting race. You know, they go to the turf or to dog race or whatever, and it has become that election. It's a way to benefit the rich people, but on both sides. So we cannot be naive. And the war's going on, especially the one in Russia, Biden has to do a lot with. And I don't think that Trump will get rid of that soon, because that's going on. And it's very likely that it will continue. But let's see. I hope for the best, but think for the worst.
Thank you, my brother Gonzalo. As usual, you always have present stuff to talk about. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Ray. Come on in, Ray. How you doing, my brother?
Yeah, brother Egberto. You know, I woke up this morning. By the way, I got that email for the movie. I will be checking that out.
Yeah, Patrick wanted you to see that. Patrick said it's a good movie. I put it on my list. I can't watch it right now, but he wanted you to see it.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I saw this image that I shared in the YouTube chat, and it kind of really vexed me, because, you know, Trump didn't really win this race as much as, and I know we want to give him credit because he did win the popular vote, but what really won this race was voter apathy. And, exactly. You know, when you look at the numbers, you know, Biden won 2020 by about 81 million votes, and Kamala lost by about 67 million votes. And Trump actually didn't pull more votes than he did in 2020. But because the turnout was so low, his threshold was much lower. Exactly. So he didn't actually gain support. He actually lost like 3 million voters. Yeah. But it was the apathy of so many people who just said, you know what? I still don't feel motivated enough to come out. Like, y'all wanted to come out of the pandemic. Y'all said, oh, Trump ain't doing this pandemic thing right. Let me get Mr. Biden on the case. But no, y'all ungrateful, and I'm going to be very PG because it's the radio. Y'all ungrateful mother lovers, you know, took it for granted after we got out of the pandemic. And now y'all say, oh, Daddy Trump can get our economy back because, you know, we're going to get the stimulus checks, yada, yada, yada. But meanwhile, y'all just gone. I mean, the couch really won that race. No, look,
Neil Aquino, your thoughts on I think you and I started talking about that before we started the show, as far as the numbers are concerned. Your thoughts?
I actually was. The numbers were down, and people. I was looking up a number. I'm sorry, and people need some reason to feel why it's important to vote, and the fewer number of voters indicates obviously they did not feel they had that reason. You could see why people would be cynical of Trump, the failure of the Democratic Party. What I fear is that we won't have a reckoning of why the Democratic Party performs so poorly in a way that involves urban cities and counties. We'll be talking about ideological things. Should we go left? Should we go to the center? We'll have endless conversations about union workers, about Michigan and Wisconsin. I wish one thing I want to do, and I want to focus on the Houston Democracy Project. And when I go to city council and interacting with the Harris County Democratic Party, is that we have to build an infrastructure in cities that gives people hope and gives people a reason to vote. And all you got to do, just drive around Houston, drive around Harris County, just drive around, and you will see, poor streets, stray dogs, significant people in clear economic distress, and nothing. It's not really being addressed at all.
Yeah,
and it's gone on for years and years.
And I think we have to, the parties, if they really care about people, and that's why I say that a lot of the organization happens on these with elitists instead of people on the ground. And what the party has to do is start working with people on the ground. Or the truth of the matter is we have to do what I've spoken to folks at Indivisible and other places are. Take over the damn party from within and run the operations that are going to actually get things done. Ray, give me a closer. I got to get to Johnny.
Oh, no, it's absolutely true. I mean, we have to talk to our people in the cities because that's who didn't turn out and gave the race to these rural individuals who are low information. And we have no excuse for all the luxuries we have. For all the poverty we have access to the luxuries here.
But Ray, you know what I want to do? I want to send you out to the rural areas also and remove some of that disinformation, man. Because the canvasser that went out into several rural areas in Pennsylvania came back saying they were living in a different on a different planet. The amount of disinformation that they have. So we have to go into those rural areas as well and somehow get some stuff done. But Ray, I'll see you at 3:00, my brother. Okay?
All right, brother. Take care.
Take care. Let's go to brother Johnny. Come on in, Johnny. How you doing, my man?
Crystal Blue Persuasion. Oh, you remember that song?
Of course I remember that. That was nice, good stuff in the early 70s, man.
Yeah, well, anyway, as I'm in the kitchen, just woke up, and during the transition from Arnie Arneson to your program, when they cut off her, you better think, then they went to that calm music. And while I'm preparing food, listening to that calm music in the wake of this election result, I'm thinking of that Breaking Bad scene. You remember Breaking Bad, the high school chemistry teacher with cancer, played by Bryan Cranston? And a lot of times in that show, what they did was they would show these violent scenes, but they didn't have the audio from the scene. They took audio from Crystal Blue Persuasion or some other kind of calm, passionate type of song while they're showing this violence. That's the experience I was having while I was in the kitchen doing my stuff, listening to that bumper music on KPFT and thinking about what just happened the other day. I feel like we're in an alternate world right now. This is worse than Halloween. This is the worst trick or treat, the worst trick that we could have had played upon us by the corporate industrial oligarchy through the manipulation of our education system and our monopolized corporate media. So that's what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling.
Well, let me tell you, I want to make you feel better. I want to make you feel better. Okay, I've gotten over the pain. All right. Yesterday, believe it or not, I actually shed tears after I shed tears twice yesterday. I'll be honest with everybody. I shed tears twice yesterday. First, when Kamala gave her speech where she conceded. And the reason I shed tears is forgetting about the perfect candidate, because that she wasn't. And we definitely know that Trump was a horrendous candidate. But what teared me up was I could relate to her, knowing that you are the best candidate for that job. knowing that you are much better both intellectually and in the performance that you've given. And that the vast majority of those people who actually voted went for the other person. So I wrote a blog about it, about why she lost yesterday afternoon. I wrote a blog as what really entailed her loss, because her loss wasn't anything else other than, well, read the blog and you'll see. But the other part that I cried about is when Claire McCaskill, it gave me such, I let a tear, because she was crying on the set after Kamala gave her speech. And what she said was, my God, it hurt to see. And Claire is a woman, right? And it hurt her so badly to know how much being a woman was responsible for her loss, and that women were instrumental in that loss, the patriarchy. I mean, I sat there and tears came to my eye, because it was like, man, we're working hard. I want to get this stuff done before my lifetime ends, that women don't have to have that same feeling, that I get, or that not I get, because I do all this stuff on my own now, that I got both in college and in corporate America, when you knew that you were the one that should have had it, but just because you didn't. Sorry for that soliloquy. Continue, Johnny.
So let me wrap up by saying that Kamala Harris lost because she allowed it to happen. It was her election to take, and she, like all the Democrats before her, she gave it away. And if she had not betrayed the progressive part of her constituency or potential constituency, she would have given her acceptance speech.
No, Johnny, let's talk about this tomorrow. That is where you and I are going to have a serious conversation about that, because her loss was similar yet different than Hillary's loss, but the gender played a humongous part of it. And, we have the documentation that can actually explain it why. I'll give that to you tomorrow, but I have callers that I need to go to. But let's talk about that, Johnny, okay?
One quick word. With Hillary, it was dynasty. That's not the case with Kamala. Kamala was way better candidate than Hillary could be.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it tomorrow, because we really need to talk about it. Let's go to Harry. Come on in, Harry.
Good morning, Jack. Good morning, Howard. Good morning, Neil. And buenos dias to you, Brother Roberto. I'm glad that you're over the pain. I know how much you wanted Kamala to be our first female president. And you know my reasons why I didn't vote for her. But still, I'll have to give a shout out to Arnie Arnesen. She was kind of tearing up in the thing that I listened to, I think in the first half hour. But in the second half hour, she had this guest on, and she was talking about, they were talking about outsourcing and jobs and Trump's media. And they were talking about how Trump threatened John Deere not to outsource to Mexico, but then he turns around and costs Americans jobs by outsourcing the Trump media to Mexico, so that he can make he can put money in his pocket with his company by having the company over in Mexico and paying those workers slave wages. So, he's a hypocrite. And she was just talking about how people, and her guests, how people don't really understand this man and what he is, and how he's a flim-flam man, and, and he just repeats lies one after the other.
Harry, let me say this, okay? And I mean, I think it's time for us to stop buying into that narrative, in my humble opinion. I think people know exactly who Trump is. And let me ask Neil if he believes that as well. Neil, your thoughts?
I mean, you can't, this one thing that has stopped me from being overly despondent is the clarity of the choice. People knew. They knew. They can say they were voting the economy. Maybe they were. but there were two distinct choices, and people were deciding who they were, and they decided. And okay, I mean, message received. And I think as I scrolled through and just poked around yesterday at some political Facebook sites, this wasn't, people are not going to put on pink hats. People are not going to, there may be marches or protests later as we go on. There's not going to be, I don't believe, a big women's march. People were discussing, should I buy a gun? People were deciding, there was a much harder, more, I think, internal reaction that we were told out loud who people were. And we have to, what I saw yesterday was people mentally protecting themselves, talking about physically protecting themselves, as I think maybe they well should.
Well,
and this is a different, we were told what was going on. People know what he is. They can say they don't like it, but they know what they knew it, and they elected him.
Neil, let me just say, it's funny. My little sister, after it was reaffirmed, she sent me a 2-sentence message, and it goes like this. She said, "What a night! Clarity is liberating." And
yeah,
okay, that's what she said.
Yeah.
And when she told me that, I'm coming back to you in a second, Harry, but when she told me that, I wrote back immediately and I said, exactly. We have to, liberals, progressives have to stop that belief that somehow people don't know what they're doing. I've spoken to enough right-wingers, and Ray, who just was on, would tell you, because he's in our chat almost every day at 3:00. These people know what they're supporting, and it just doesn't matter. When we talk about how do you support a guy like this having a daughter, to them, it just doesn't matter. Their morality doesn't go that far. So that's what we have to understand. And when my sister says clarity is liberating, we have to, Harry, what we have to do, in my humble opinion, is we have to finally accept that there are people in our country that's okay. And that's what I wrote about yesterday. I actually said that is who America is. Continue, right. Harry, and then I got to go to Donald.
Okay. I think, I'll give a shout out to Arnie Arnson, because she did, in her state in New Hampshire, get those 4 electoral college votes for Kamala Harris. But my Make America Divide friend from Florida, I don't think and you said it really well yesterday, Roberto, when you said people don't understand economics on this program. They don't understand what Trump's policies, economic policies, will do to them. They were talking about it on NPR, that they're going to extend those 2017 tax cuts. Let's hope what Neil was saying is not correct, that they will get, the Democrats will get the House, and they'll be able to put a check on him. But they were talking about, once again, as we all know this, his tax cuts will create a deficit. He'll run up more debt, and then he won't do an infrastructure plan for America, for us to go forward.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Harry. I'm with you. But let me tell you, if he's going to win the popular vote, my morals, says that he deserves to have the House as well. Okay, it would be nice. And I want to be honest with you. I don't believe in the Electoral College because it doesn't fairly represent the voters. And if Donald Trump wins the Electoral College, if Donald Trump wins the popular vote, he deserves the Congress. Make no mistake. I'm very consistent. And we will have to live through what America voted for. Because let me give another caveat. We are not as good as the Republicans in the way we market things, right? And if we get the Congress, and Donald Trump does all the machination to screw up the economy, if we are in the Congress, he will have the ability to say the reason that has occurred is because of Congress. And because they are so better marketers than we are. When I say we, I'm taking off my host hat and talking about being a Democrat. Everybody know I'm a progressive. they are better marketers, and it'll look like, okay, Donald Trump came in, screw up the economy, but he's able to throw the blame on the Congress. No, if he wins the popular vote, I want him to own the Congress as well. So anyway, Harry, I got to go to other people, and actually, I got to go. You got to call back tomorrow. I got to go to Donald. Come on in, Donald.
Good morning, Alberto. Good morning, Neil. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing fine.
Good. How are you?
Okay, if Kamala would have ran her campaign like she gave her concession speech, she would have won hands down. She listened to the people that have been drinking their own bathwater, sitting in their think tanks, that are so out of touch with reality. I would have even voted for her. With that being said, you've got. Oh, go ahead,
Donald. I beg to differ. You know, you're my brother, but let me just tell you. The same Kamala, you're going to have me saying her name the way you did. The same Kamala that I saw give that speech is the Kamala you hear at every single speech she gives in Pittsburgh. That was just a regurgitation of her speech that she gave yesterday. So what you're telling me, if you didn't watch the Fox News snippets and instead got the snippet and got to see that speech, you would have voted for her. That's what misinformation from Fox News and these other channels do. Because again, that speech that she gave that day, yesterday, is a speech she gives in Pittsburgh. It's a speech she gives in everywhere she gives that speech. But what Fox News does, it takes out snippets and make it say something that she didn't. So I am glad I'm glad that you've got to see her speech unadulterated. And after seeing it, you would have voted for her. Donald, you've just proven that it depends on the source of information.
And the other thing.
Wait. You got to answer that. Donald, you got to answer what I just said.
I listen to both sides. I go to unedited. That's why I don't like the YouTube and the TikTok and everything else, because all they do is snippets. They take the worst of the worst of the worst, and people don't dig down in to find out the best.
All right, Donald, my lines are full. Donald, okay. My lines are full. Brother, my lines are full. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Washington, Oregon, California, she's only got about 30 electoral votes at the end of this. Because with the popular vote and even Walls in 2023, those 10 electoral votes go to Trump. Now, are we going to see the final score and show that she's only got 30 electoral votes because the national popular vote is given almost all of her votes, electoral votes are going to go to Trump because of the national popular vote. Are we going to see that?
Yes. No. Put it this way. If we would pass that law, that is exactly what should occur is that the national popular vote would have given all those votes to the person who won. You're correct. And I'm glad you said that. I support that. So, yeah, thank you for that.
I want to see it. You can do it. You can do
no, you can't. No. You have to follow the law.
Look like.
That's not what the law says. The law says when we get enough states that add up to 270 electoral votes, then all those states would be responsible for assigning all of their electoral votes to the person who won the popular vote. And in that case, then Trump would have gotten 0 in 2016 and in 2020.
2016.
And 2020. So that's what it is. Hey, but Donald, we got to go. You made your point.
Vote is going to go to Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want to ask. Is it?
It will, right. No, only if the law passes. Thank you. I mean, only if they reach the cap. Thank you, Donald. Let's go to Jacob. Come on in, Jacob. I'm going to have to cut people a little short now. I'm sorry. My time management. I'm guilty.
Well, go. Let me talk then, because you'll cut me off. Hey, my brother, Umberto.
Yes, sir.
Just opposite of what you said. She got mollywopped, totally just destroyed, and it's because of how her campaign was run. I know you came here. You think you're not going to change here. You'd be better off going where you come from and then trying to change stuff. This is America. Now look, check this out. She got mollywopped. That was not immigration done her in. People see. We're not okay. This happening in your country, and the people here ain't got nothing. No, that's not going to happen. You got your own country. Go deal with your people. Don't deal with your people. You can't come in and can't get no assistance and run here. Deal with them. Fight them like my ancestors.
Okay. All right, Jacob. Jacob, hold on. Let Neil answer you. Go ahead, Neil.
Let me just talk just briefly about the mass deportations.
Try to do it in 45 seconds. We're running out of time.
Okay, the mass deportations are coming, and Trump said that he would cut federal funding for police agencies that didn't cooperate. So I just want people to understand that every encounter now with a police officer or a sheriff or a constable is a potential immigration stop. And in this environment with authoritarianism, that you should just take every law enforcement officer at this point as an extension of Donald Trump, Ken Paxton.
Well, I ain't worried about the police. I don't commit crimes. So if they're with the black man, they own him. He the one. He a felon. So I don't care about that. And an abortion, white women trying to have kids, they're not gonna be. They know they're trying to. It's women's white. No, abortions. And a lot of women are trying to have children. Y'all try to force that. Only one they really want to have abortions who they think sisters think that they are welfare. Nah, and that's why she lost. And that progressive stuff. Jacob.
Let's talk tomorrow. But you're incorrect. But we'll talk tomorrow, brother. All right, let's go to let's see who's been waiting a long time. Let's go to Betty.
Good morning, Alberto.
Good morning, beautiful. How you doing?
I'm okay. Why they keep talking about Kamala this morning? She lost fair and square, not fair and square, but it's electronics is what happens. And she'll go on. We have not heard from her. We have not heard from her, the last from her. And the ones that talk to you that whatever about her, we know how they feel now. So they're off my checklist. And on electronics, me and my husband had a 23 years TV and electronics repaired. We've seen things go from that to cheap and lazy, and that's what it is now, cheap and lazy, and they rely on electronics. I got rid of my electronics after Trump got in on 2016, and him with his tweeting his second Diet Coke every morning when he would do it.
My dear beautiful Betty, I have a whole lot of calls, so I get your point.
Yeah, okay, well another thing on China. Remember, the rice in China is balling. Okay, love you. Bye bye.
Love you too, girl. You take care. Let's go to brother Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, my brother. Talk to me. I only got 45 seconds for you, though.
Okay. I wanted to dovetail on Ray. Apathy was part of the problem. Everybody was saying what was on the ballot, and it was obvious that hate was on the ballot. That's what showed up. It's very disappointing to find out that the few people that do care about other people around just won't show up. They'd rather stay at home and watch Netflix. It's a very poor reflection of the United States. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. I just want to point out that, what Ray's numbers, when you hear that, it's really pathetic as far as the amount of people that stayed home compared to under Biden. And a lot of folks say, well, these people didn't have anything to vote for. Well, when you do that, remember, you pay the price. All right, let's go to Brian.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Okay, one of the things that was ran to try to get her elected was a threat to democracy. Mm-hmm. This is all I kept hearing about, was threat to democracy. Okay, and again, she wasn't in a primary. They tried to impeach and get Trump out of office from day one. Now, what's the threat to democracy? A candidate that's not been chosen by the people, but was picked by a committee. That's more of a threat to democracy than Trump ever will be. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Brian. All right, let's go to Tag. Come on. No, actually not Tag. Tag is Bart has been waiting for a while. Bart, come on in.
Guess who's back? Back
Brother.
again. Remember that song?
Hey, Bard. Let me just say this, okay? Bard, what do you expect out of? I just have to ask you one question. I want you to make it a fast answer. What is that going to do for you now?
Mr. Egberto, you blaming everybody?
No. I asked a specific question.
I want to tell you.
No. I asked you a specific question. What benefit are you going to get out personally having your guy? And congratulations, by the way. Congratulations on having your guy elected. I'm not going to go ahead and claim what you guys do. I'm going to say your guy won fair and square. What are you going to get? What personally are you going to get out of it?
Well, I'm going to get to buy a dozen eggs for 99 cents.
All right, good. That just shows you how you don't understand economics. Thank you, brother. Talk to you later, Bard. Let's go to Tag.
Morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother.
Just a problem with the Democrats today.
Mm-hmm.
Good topic. The elephant in the room is gender and color.
Yep.
Obviously, we had a big problem with that. The undertow with the election was the idea of lifelong politicians and big government, big federal government. And they didn't talk a lot about big federal government and lifelong politicians, but that's been an underlying current elections for many years, actually going all back to the Bushes. They've been talking about that. That's why Hillary Clinton lost. And I think until we address those two issues, I mean, the issue of big government and, lifelong politicians, we're never going to make any headway on,
let me say this. You're going to get big government. So there's going to be radical budget cuts and elimination of agencies, but you're still going to have a big government. You're going to have a big government with its finger on, for the rich, a surveillance state. You're still going to have big government. It's just going to be a government that widens financial, economic inequalities, consistently monitors you, serves authoritarian ends. I don't think people yet still grasp. I don't think even Egberto or I yet still grasp where this is headed. This is a whole shift of who we align with internationally, the purpose of the United States government, and you're going to have a big government, just not in the way that you're not in the FDR sense, but in the Elon Musk, JD Vance.
I'm glad you I'm glad you targeted. You said it that way, not in the FDR manner, but in the Elon manner. In other words, it's going to be a more corrosive type big government. Government is going to have its tentacles into every place. Hey, Tag, give me a closer.
Yes.
Yeah, and the thing is about they wanting to downsize big government, like it's going to save us, the people, a bunch of money.
No.
We're never going to pay less taxes to support our government. That's the big illusion that they're trying to sell us, and people are buying into that. They're going to cut our services, and our taxes will still go up. So thanks, guys.
Tag.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you for your call, Tag. Appreciate you. Let's go to Terry.
Good morning, Egberto. How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir. Talk to me.
So, I mean, people keep bringing up race and gender, and I mean, sure, that plays a part in it. But the reality is the Democrats, the liberals, the progressives did not get behind Kamala because of her stance on Israel, her history of locking up black men in California. We couldn't commit to her, I feel like.
Terry, I mean, D.L. Hughley used to promote that fallacy about her locking up black men unduly. She locked up people who needed to be locked up. And she created programs. Let me finish. Sir, let me finish. She locked up people that deserve to be locked up. And not only did she do that, read her speeches and listen to her talks where she said she also created programs to prevent recidivism. The fallacy out there, the fact that you are telling me this, Terry, telling me that the disinformation has reached you. I am not asking you what I just told you. What I just told you was facts. What she did in California. Hold on, Terry. Terry, hold on. Terry, hold on. I gave you a chance to speak. You can, all of this stuff, you can go to the source. And this is what sometimes gets upsetting when people come on programs like this and spout that out, my dear brother, and further on the misinformation. Kamala's what she did with her as an attorney general was actually beneficial to the community, unlike the promotion or the spin that it's given. And when it comes to color and race and gender, let's call back in earlier tomorrow, because that is something we should talk about. Because we have to get to the position where Terry, please don't talk over me. I let you talk, then I talk. Okay. When it comes to her, what her gender and race, that matters and it plays a role. Give me a quick response, because I got to jump to Ray.
Of course it does, but she could also stop sending arms to Israel.
I agree with that, but okay, now stop, and I agree with you there. You're absolutely right. She could try to talk to Biden into not doing that, but coming out and saying, I want that to stop, she cannot do that. That is not how the level of commands work. We have to grow up and understand how government works. We need to get civics back into schools. I got to go. Terry, call me tomorrow. We'll have more conversation. Ray, you got 15 seconds, Ray, just 15. I got to go.
I just want to leave the listeners with a quote from our dear friend George Carlin, when he said, "Never underestimate the power of a large group of stupid people." That's what we have.
Thank you, brother. Give me a closer real quick. Neil Aquino, we're bad on time.
Great. HoustonDemocracyProject.com. And in the weeks ahead here and on the blog, we'll talk about how locally we can build some democracy and not hollow out from the bottom.
Thank you, brother. Hey, studio, give me a quickie.
Nothing from me, Jack. Jack, no. Go ahead and take it home, Egberto.
All right, folks. Look, I love you all. Thank you for being here. All the callers, keep calling. And Terry, call back. We need to get a little bit more into detail on what you talk about. All of this stuff is found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, videos, etc., including that stuff on Kamala, race, gender, etc. at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis.